Yo, what's going on, everybody? Hope all is well. So, y'all, today we have a special guest, and I'll tell you, with the majority of my guests, I have a quick 15-minute impromptu meeting just to discuss, what the episode topic is going to be about. And in speaking to today's guest, it really, really made me even more excited to have him on the podcast because I know I'm going to get a lot out of this, and I'm sure you as my listeners are going to get a lot out of it as well. So I am happy to introduce Matan Cohen. And Matan, I hope I said your name correctly, on behalf of myself and my podcast, Fast Forward Mindset Podcast. Welcome to today's episode. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. I'm glad to have you.
Be here.
So I'll share with you all, like I said, when me and Matan had our meeting, the one thing that really caught my attention was meditation, because he's big on that, right? And I'll tell you, I have tried meditate. I've tried a lot of things, like just to free my mind, just to have, just the whole conscious, unconscious, non-conscious thing going on, just so I can better make myself aware and know who I am and what I'm thinking today. Right. But one of the areas I really struggle with is meditation. My mind is always on the go. It never shuts off. And because it never shut off, my meditation never really works for me. So I hope that today Matan can give us some ideas and suggestions on how we could be better at meditation. But Matan, before I give too much of your secret away, I'm going to go ahead and give you the floor. Introduce yourself and let us know what you got going on.
So my name is Matan Cohen Citron. I got into the body-mind world about 26 years ago, where I was in, physical pain, mental, emotional pain. And I was looking for an answer, and I traveled around the globe. I started practicing yoga, which led me to India, where I met my first teachers there. And that was a life-changing for me. And it was such a huge shift that I said, if there is something that is so effective to me, and these are things that people experience in different areas of their life, to have these things that really create big transformation, I'm going to do it every day of my life, because it really changed the way I perceive myself and perceive the world. And since then, 26 years later, I've been practicing almost every day with yoga, meditation, qigong, and different form of what we call in the professional world somatic practices that are just body practices. And with years, it took me to practice other modalities. And about 10, 12 years ago, I started getting into hypnotherapy and to help people through that, to release trauma, anxiety, limiting belief, and really change their life. Because I think in the world, we're so obsessed with motivation and willpower, and we're forgetting that our behavior is a reflection of our beliefs and our identity. Identity is also a form of belief. So if we're really changing our identity and the belief that we have about ourselves, about the world, the behavior changes.
Yeah. Simple as that, right? I mean, it sounds simple, but it's not the easiest thing to do. But you're right.
Yes, it sounds so simple. It's not that simple. That's we live in a world that the name for podcast and the name for books are 5 ways to achieve a perfect diet, 3 ways to get your strength, and 10 ways to be happy without any problems. However, life is more complicated.
Yeah, and I think a big misconception out there as well is just, I was having a conversation with my wife earlier this morning. We're eating breakfast, and I'm reading this book. And this book is very interesting. So I start sharing with her a couple of the chapters or something that I read. And the first thing she says to me is that I don't believe everything I read. And I was like, that's the perfect example that like, hey, like it can really be good material. And I'm not saying anything bad about my wife, but that's just how she is. But it can really be good material. But because there's so many different things out in this world, it's kind of like, hey, what do I believe and what do I not believe? And how do I transform my mindset? And what I read in this book, is it true? Is it factual? Is it going to change the way I think? And because our mind goes a million miles a minute, we find ourselves back to square one because we thought that what we read was going to be beneficial for us, but then we second guessed it.
Yeah, I love what you said because you point out to a fact that we don't know what is true and what is not true, and we don't know in our mind. Sometimes we have thoughts that are very positive for us, and sometimes we have thoughts that are so negative to ourselves and to other people around us and to the world. Ideas that we hold about the world, especially in this time. It's a perfect time of this. I guess we can call it chaos all around us. That the mind is this tool, is this machine that we perceive the world through that. And what you're describing, what your wife's behavior is doubt, and doubt, to my opinion, is crucial. It's supposed to keep us safe. The goal of our mind is not to keep us happy necessarily. It's to make us safe. And doubting is super natural, a super important skill. With that, the question is if we're just doubting and saying everything is bad, or trying to find things in this world that are going to enhance our life, to improve the quality of our life.
Yeah, it definitely will enhance the quality of our life. We just have to be willing and sometimes be accepting of something. Right. And to that point earlier, like she is, I'm the same way. Like I don't believe everything I read, but there's some things I'm like, my mind really gravitates to that. And if it gravitates to that and it makes sense to me logically,
yeah,
it's factual. Right. And so it's just really how things resonate and who you resonate with to really, really take that next leap of that leap of faith and say, hey, this is for me. I'm going to give this a try.
Yes. And then
so let's
do the work after.
Yes. Then you do the work and you be consistent with the work. You know, I always share with my listeners, Matan, that I can give you the water all day long and you can even drink it. Right. But if you take no action after you drink it, it really does no good. Right. And so it's one of those things where action is really important.
Yes. And intentional action, not just hard work.
Yes. Yep. So let's get into this meditation, right? Let's touch on that and share a little bit, with my listeners. What is your level of meditation and what are some techniques that you've learned along the way to help improve your meditation, or, things that you do to make it be a success for you?
I think we're not going to really dive in. We're going to go around it because there's so many misconceptions, and I hear it in your question that there is that. I call it the S word, success. Okay, and you come up with this question that is a really good question. What is success in meditation, and what level of meditation you are? Like, how do you know? Like, what level you have in meditation? And I will say it has to be something positive in your life. And what we have an idea in our culture is to have a practice that is similar to that a monk who lives in an ashram or in a monastery in a mountain. Yeah. And that monk has maybe 100 times less stimulation a day or an hour that we have in a day, in the equivalent time. Like what happened to us from an evolution point of view in terms of the stimulation that we're getting is huge. All right. So take people who are or addicted to stimulation. Let's call it that way, like screen, social media, family, work, being on alert, being on high all the time. And we pretty much tell them, close your eyes, focus on the breath. It's, to my opinion, in many situations, it creates more damage than it creates something positive. Okay, because then all the shame comes in, and we're just sitting and soaking in our shame and self judgment.
Mm-hmm.
We're saying like, I'm not the way I'm supposed to be. All right, and I'm like, how are you supposed to be?
Yeah.
There, that's admit that we're not happy with who we are, and because we just took, we in yoga we call it a steya. We stole an idea. All right, like
Mm-hmm.
you talked about, rejecting and accepting things at the beginning of the conversation, and our mind is open all the time. Whenever you see something on social media, whenever you see something on TV, hey, the mind doesn't know the difference between fiction and reality. All right. And we're accepting basically a belief. So if you see a movie or you look at social media, you're somewhere in the background, you get the concept, you steal that concept that this is how life should look like. That your partner, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, so your relationship with them, and they should look like the one on TV, social media. And then there is that that gap between your life and what there is out there. All right. So that's a little bit about how the mind works. Okay.
So let me make sure I'm tracking with you. So based on what I think I gathered in my mind, you're saying that meditation has to be positive, right? For you. And if you aren't or not being positive, when you do meditate, you're just going to wallow in your negativity instead of marinating in your positivity. And so then it could be less beneficial for you. Is that what you're saying, or do I have it wrong?
It's not that you have it wrong. Okay. It's like I look at meditation. Let's go to definition. You can look at it from different perspective. One word that I really like that comes with that is that basically what we do in meditation is we're remembering our own nature. It's a practice remembering who you are at the core of you. Not the thinking mind that is obsessed about having more, having more of. Okay, or being deep, right? It's going into the essence of who you are, and in a way of doing that, we have to start quieting the mind. Okay, and start quieting the mind is start being present. So people like to look at this 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour that we're sitting and we're focusing on, that we're doing a practice. It can be so, the practice focusing on the breath. It can be singing. It can be repeating a repetition in the mind, mantra, or walking or running. It can be so many different things. It's just the action of being, of start focusing, being present with what we have. So in that family, there are, I don't know, 100,000, 10,000 different practices. Okay. And it depends on the person. So you can focus on on working with emotions. You can focus on releasing emotions, releasing grief. However, it's about being neutral, to my opinion. There is a difference between visualization and meditation. A lot of time, like what we want, and I think, by the way, this is something that I think it's very hard to teach it to a group, because everybody is in a different way, and And there are different techniques and different practices that helping people to develop different qualities. Because some
Okay.
there is the aspect of focus, there is the aspect of how you work with stress. There are many different aspects that you can do with that you can cultivate. Another word for meditation is cultivation. So you can cultivate focus, you can cultivate compassion, you can cultivate non-judgmental, non-harming yourself. There are endless amount of qualities, and you can use it once. I think one of the first skills that people cultivate through meditation is awareness, is the ability to focus our awareness into one thing. If it's the breath, if it's a part of the body, and it's something that you can take elsewhere. And for example, if you wash the dishes tonight, that can be your meditation, just being present with what you're doing right now. That can be your driving. That can be your your exercising. That can be the conversation that we're having right now. Just cultivating the idea to be present with whatever there is.
That makes sense. So meditation can be used in several different ways. It just really depends on what you want the definition of meditation to do, or how you want it to benefit you, right? For example, I can say, hey,
Wait.
let
We're in the West. We're taking everything and we want to we want to make it into something that I benefit from.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
It's a practice that purposely.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if purposely, however, for a reason, it survived over 5,000 years.
Okay.
And we're in the West. We are like, all right, let's make money. Let's use it to my ego. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
let's take a little bit step back from what we can achieve first. All right. And by its nature, this practice is to help you to experience yourself. To be able, so I'll tell you about my practice, because that's the only thing I can talk about, and I've been practicing it for 20 plus years, and I use it for many different things. So if I have, for example, a period that is harder for me emotionally, I use it to know myself, like to experience what I experience, because I have like everybody else that likes to resist suffering, to run away from suffering. So I use it to calm my mind, to be more present when my mind is agitated, to self-regulate myself. All right. There are times that I use it really to increase my energy. There are times that I use it for visualization. For example, when I work with athletes, I use it a lot for visualization. To create vision in the unconscious mind, like creating an image, creating a result, creating a story. And when we anchoring that belief in that, all of a sudden our behavior changes. And the mind learns how to do all of these crazy amount of activities. Because we're thinking from the conscious mind. We see the world from the conscious mind, and we're believing that I can do whatever I want to do because I'm thinking about it right now. And it doesn't last for too long. All right. Like motivation doesn't last for too long. Changing habits, changing identity, changing habit happens way better when we change the identity of who we are.
Okay.
So back to it, like our body, our unconscious mind are so much smarter. We are. So to go and to micromanage everything with willpower, for me, even though I have a lot of motivation, I don't find it that it works that well. I think it's way easier to work on the belief and to work on how a person sees themselves, what image they have of themselves, how they want to move through the world, the standards that they want to have, and then the behavior will come accordingly. because
Okay.
self-awareness is limited. At some point, and it's true for movement and it's true for mindset. At one point, for example, to practice in alignment, whatever you do, if it's weightlifting or whatever, it's interesting and and it has benefits. However, when you go to the world, the floor is not gonna be equal. It's not gonna be leveled, right? And the same emotionally, you can practice being zen. However, when you're gonna get outside, you're gonna get triggered by something. So it's important to work on that element, not just trying to be perfect. Because it's like a lot of people, they come to these practices because they have some sort of, we all have some sort of things that we're not happy with. And we're really interested in thinking that if I will be perfect, if I will sleep well, if I will talk well, if I will exercise, if I will do all of these things, I will not experience suffering. All right. And suffering is inevitable. And a lot of time, there is these theories in behavior. If our behavior is towards pleasure or our behavior is running away from pain. And our behavior is way more running away than pain than moving towards pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a high number of us never is able to enjoy pleasure. Right. And I was sharing this with someone a couple of weeks ago. Like when I'm in my moment of pleasure, like I'm on PTO from work and I'm on vacation with my family. It's so relaxing. It's so fun. I'm loving it. But the first thing I think about is that I got to go back to work in a week, right? I got to go back to work in 3 days. And so my mind starts prepping itself to go back. And now instead of me clearing my mind while I'm on vacation, it's not a vacation any longer because now I'm thinking about when I return back to work instead of staying present in the moment.
Yeah. So this is exactly what meditation is about, is allowing you to be intimate with these things. And when we're intimate with our feelings, with our emotions, with our sensations, they're not controlling us as much. We're not to fear. We live in this world that, especially men, by the way, that the worst thing is to experience fear. However, we're all experiencing fear all the time. We're just putting that persona that I'm not that person. However, everybody experiences fear.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, this is my last question about meditation and we can move on. I don't want to keep beating the dead horse here, which I'm loving the horse right now. That's why I'm asking questions. But when you're a beginner, let me just give you an example. Let's say you're a beginner at meditation.
Yeah.
Do you go in with the mindset like, hey, what I want to get out of meditation is to be positive. What I want to get out of meditation is to overcome my childhood traumas. Or is it like, hey, if you're a beginner, just start out meditating and see where it takes you?
I think it's good to, with everything that we do, I would not use meditation to overcome childhood trauma. I think it's way too complicated, let's go and, work with a professional that does hypnotherapy. Really good. Or there are many other ways. Like I'm familiar with hypnotherapy. However, to start everything, you have to give it a fair try. You have to find, you don't want to spend 5 years and after 5 years you're admitting it's not working. And you want to give it like 2 days and, it might be too short experience. Like everything is a trial and error in life. Everything is an experiment. So you have to design an experiment. So it might be you're going to 3 teachers and you see what resonates with you and give it a fair try. And then it's a practice. It's not one thing that you do and it's done.
Yeah.
It's a skill. That skill is relative to yourself is going to make your life better. You're not in competition with anyone. It gives you that space that space to react differently to the world, to respond differently, because we are reacting, and it gives more space to respond.
Okay. Okay.
And once you begin that, there are, I don't know, 10,000 different practices plus and teachers, and you resonate with what work. However, you have to get in and do the practice.
Yeah,
You can't
you do.
be in research mode all the time. It's a practice, and there is a time that the discernment goes away, and you have to commit yourself to the practice. Think about it like anything else. You can research the right diet for the rest of your life, and you eat crap in the meantime, and and then 40 years later, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
let's try to eat healthy. It doesn't make sense. Like and we live in this culture. The reason I'm repeating it, we live in this culture that people want, we all want to find the perfect way, and then I will climb the mountain. However, there is a manual for your computer and a manual for your dishwasher. There isn't any manual for the important things in life, like how to work with our mind, and how to be in relationship, and how to release stress, and these are things that we have to develop through life. This is, I guess, the curriculum of what life is about.
So tell me a little bit more about, some more of your practices or techniques for your clients to come to you for coaching. I know you said earlier that you work with athletes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the different techniques for athletes. I know you said you have to picture the image or whatever it is that they're trying to achieve. Like, hey, picture this, and you being there. So
this is something that they do by themselves a lot of the time, and I help them to set them up. I think the beauty of working with athletes is that they do whatever whatever you tell them to do, because they're so determined to do it. And what people don't think about it, you most of the they don't have the same responsibility that most people have. Like, you have for example, your family, your kids that you have to take care of. LeBron James probably did not wake up every night 3 times at night to change diaper for his kids.
Agreed.
He was able to sleep. He did not have to do gardening or take the garbage out or change all of this household work. The work that I have is just to exercise and to rest. So it's very simple to work with athletes in that term. The way I work with, specifically with athletes, when you think about people who do athletics, is like people who have you can call it behavior or motivation, size way more than other people. They have crazy amount of motivation to do things that are that most people don't do it, and a lot of time they're getting a reward for that. Okay, there's at a very young age they start getting prizes or getting recognized for their behavior. So on an unconscious level, they want to please. They got somewhere in the past. That's how they think about it. They locked in on that goal. A lot of time, what people don't know is childhood trauma. Okay, for me, for example, I don't push my kids to get good grades or to be amazing athletes. I want them to have these skills, because I think doing physical activity is great for you. We just don't live in a culture that value that enough, to my opinion.
Right.
So a lot of athletes, they have childhood trauma. So people with childhood trauma, and it's also a lot of entrepreneurs say, they have crazy amount of motivation to prove something. So they don't do it necessarily from the love for the game. They have to prove that they're the best. And there is no such a thing as the best, unfortunately. So this is usually where I like to start. And I think that when a person goes and say, I'm just going to do it for myself because it gives me joy and satisfaction. This is my craft. Then then the stress level goes down. They're not living in a state of fight and flight. And for most of us in the world, most of the world, we live in fight and flight a lot of the time. We're not going into regulation. Okay, the modern person who lives in our culture is always on alert. Right? Is always I have to provide. I have to prove myself. I am good enough. I'm not good enough. Like there is that measurement. Like the nervous system cannot come to a state of rest and digest. And on a physiological health, longevity, this is the best thing that we can do for ourselves. Because when we get into that place of rest and digest, our nervous system comes into regulation. And the body, instead of sending one kind of hormones, is repairing cells that will make us live a longer, happier life. And we're at ease.
Yeah, we definitely are. Especially once we clear up all of our stress, anything that we're holding from the past, we start to enjoy life, right? And let ourselves go a little bit and not be so hypocritical about everything and question everything. Because it's like, hey, if this happens, it happens. I'll find a way to overcome it.
Yeah.
That's a mind of peace, right? That's a mind of positivity. But a lot of us aren't able to let go of these things. So like I said earlier, some of us never get to the point of enjoyment because our mind is always stuck on something that we dealt with growing up.
Amen to that. And what I heard from you are a few things. One is the belief in trust, in trusting ourselves. And I think that this is super important. That I don't know if it's possible to clear all our past and all our traumas and all of that. I haven't got it yet, personally. Did a good job. I haven't got there completely. We call it this way. I get triggered as human beings.
Yeah.
However, you mentioned also the word stuck. Usually when we are, when something is bothering us, we're getting stuck, like our mind is in that cycle. Okay. And that cycle in hypnotherapy, we call it a problem. We talk about the problem, about this one thing that is not going well for us in our life. It's like a hamster wheel. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong or something like that? And why can't I solve that thing? The mind is getting stuck in that state, and connecting it to meditation, to pull back from there, to get a perspective. That's the skill to create a distance. Okay. And this is what you learn. You asked me about what you learn in meditation. You're learning how to undo, not necessarily how to necessarily do something, like how to pull back the attention when our attention wants to go to whatever negative story that we're latching to. And it's inevitable. Everybody is going to have these moments in their life. So, and in hypnotherapy, what we're doing with that is we're pulling that attention, and we're also creating some what we call trance state, and we're directing the attention for the client to something good. So it's one thing, like if a person is in a situation that he get pulled to, let's call it a traumatic experience that he had in the past, or a negative. I don't want to overuse the word trauma, and to help him by himself to pull away from there, all right, and also to disassociate from there, and we change into the outcome that he wants. So when he's not in this situation, when he's not behaving in that old way that isn't serving him anymore, where I'm really digging to him with that question, like, what do you want? How do you want to behave in this way? And this is what we're not asking ourselves. enough. Okay, so there are a lot of skills that that meditations are useful, that we use hypnotherapy. However, what we want is to shift from a problem into solution. Because it's not just I don't want to feel like shit. I heard that a lot. I just don't feel like shit. How do you want to feel? All right, and is I in many situations for all of us in different situations, we haven't defined a destination. So I'll tell you, hey James, I'm going on vacation, and you ask me like, great for you. Where are you going? And I'll tell you, not home. And you will be like, you see your reaction. It's like, it's like you're in your mind like the guy is crazy. And this is what we all do to ourselves. Like, we're like, I don't want to feel like shit in that situation.
Yeah.
Let's start using our mind, our imagination, and all of it to open that we have a destination to give to our mind. Because a destination of, I don't want to feel bad, it's not a good enough destination.
So let me just clear up what you said here for my listeners. And it was great. Thank you for explaining that. In order for you to know how you want to feel, how you don't want to feel, we must know how we want to feel. Right?
Want to have like, hey, destination. And a lot of times people don't know. And for example, I had a conversation with a coaching client like yesterday. And a lot of time we don't know. People go through transitions. They go through 20, 30 years of marriage and raising kids, and they forget where they are in their life. For most people, it happens. All right. Like I'm 46 years old, and most of the parents around me, they don't have hobbies. They don't have, they don't know what to do with themselves. Like they're either working or they're like listening to their wife, what to tell them, which kids to take, which activity. They don't know what to do. And it's okay. The question is what we're doing. A lot of time we were locked in that situation for so long, and we just have to go and to experiment. All right. So in that example, for example, let's go and to a museum. Let's go and hike. Let's go dancing. Let's go listen to a concert. Like really being committed with yourself when we're stuck. Like to open up without a destination. Not everything the same way that dating. Not the first person you dated, you fell in love with. You have to, we all have to start to open our mind to more and to more and to more. And talking about one of the benefits of, we mentioned vacation. One of the benefits of vacation, to my opinion, is stop recycling the same thoughts that we're having 24/7 living in our home with the same people.
Yep. That's a good analogy how you said that. I love that.
Thank you.
So is there anything else you would like to share for us? Like a little bit of your expertise, touch more on any of the techniques that you offer for your coaching. Is there anything out there you would like to say about any of that?
I a little bit cautious of giving techniques to people that I've never met. I
agree
with that because my expertise is to sit and to listen to people, and 99% of my work is custom work, one-on-one.
Okay.
Also, here and there, do programs that are general and to work on certain beliefs and stuff like that.
Okay. So instead,
that being said, everything is a project in life.
Okay.
The same way that at work, people have projects to do, and they have a spreadsheet, and they have steps, and they have things to do. I think that it's a little bit underdeveloped that they did that. People, instead of managing they're spending so many projects, they can also think about their life as different projects that are going, like, for example, cooking and
Mm-hmm.
shopping is a project, sleeping is a project, how you
Mm-hmm.
improve your skill, a relationship is a project, how you can make your relationship better, exercise is a huge project. Same way that people plan vacations and what they're going to do, it's the same thing with their wellness and with their mindset. It's not one thing. It's not finding the right meditation app or finding the right practitioner. It's being committed to doing the work for yourself and seeing which skills are missing. Because I think this is something that is not talked about enough. That skill development. There are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
that we have to develop. And if I'll give you an example. I work a lot with entrepreneurs, so these are people
Mm-hmm.
that they have to lead themselves. People who go to work, usually they have a boss and they've been
Yeah.
what to do. It's at work. At other places, they have to manage themselves. So I work a lot with entrepreneurs and founders, and with time, I think that one of the undervalued skills that we're having is how to fail. Um, how to fail, knowing how to fail and how to learn from failure and how to recover for failure. Because this is something that we all experience on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Something that doesn't work for us. That's basically what failure is getting a negative outcome. It might
Mm-hmm.
in your relationship or in your exercise, and like, let's talk about exercise because there as an example, because it's not personal to what we're talking, that it's more emotional. For example, most people that get over the age of 40, they start experiencing discomfort in their body.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not able to change who they are and how they see themselves. It takes them a lot of time. It's not that they're not able. It takes them too much time and too much injuries and too much hip replacement and
Mm-hmm.
hip replacement and sore muscles and all of that, because they're not able to admit to themselves that they need something different. Okay, they're failing on a regular basis. They have back pain. They have whatever they're having, and they're not able to say, this thing that used to work for me when I was 20, it's not working. Okay, because it's back having that idea and that belief that I used to be a football player and I should go to the gym and lift. So that whole identity,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very hard for people. That's where that part of how we address failure is coming.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I've listened, Matan, to a few of ex pro ball players, and they get into, when they ask them a question like, what is the number one thing that you struggle with? And a lot of them said they had in commonality that they struggled after retirement to find themselves because they didn't know who they were anymore. They weren't getting celebrated by people anymore. They weren't being recognized. And it's kind of like, who am I? And so a lot of them were lost because their life changed so drastically with retiring. They kind of lost who they were.
Yes, and back to what we said before, the
Mm-hmm.
easiest thing is to try to press the old habit and get that feeling. The harder spot is to go through the pain. Let's call it through the pain, being intimate with that, releasing that from our body, that identity, and realizing that that there is a different path
Mm-hmm.
to us. We don't know what it is, right? And a lot of time we don't know what it is. Like we so much loving saying, you know who you are. However, who you are right now and who you were 7 years ago and you were 20 years ago, it's not really the same person. You have, it's like I think one of talking about techniques, if there is one technique that I will recommend is to do what in yoga we call it shavasana, like a corpse pose, like just you lie down and like a corpse, and you're doing nothing, because that is a skill. Again, back to meditation, the idea of all right, there is all of this inertia, the thoughts, things, the body of or that the mind, the ego that says this is exactly who I am, and just to take a step back from it a little bit to realize, wow, it doesn't have to be this way. No,
Wow.
like just
I like that.
backing off. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily about creating. Like we live in a culture like, all right, let me find that thing and create that thing.
Yeah.
Wait. Take time, take patience, backing off. We're part of nature. It takes time.
Yep. So I always ask my guests at the end of every episode, one question. And the question is, can you share with my listeners an idea or suggestion on how to rewire the way you think?
How to rewire? The question is to rewire to what? Okay.
And I like how you phrase that. Yes, rewire to what?
Yeah.
And based on that, can you spin off from there? Because a lot of people struggle with that same very thing of how to rewire the way they think, is because, like I said, the first thing it says, rewire to what? And it's really about knowing in your mind, what are you looking to change? Like the phrase you made earlier, like you got to know how you want to feel to know how you don't want to feel anymore, right? It's kind of almost that same scenario.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I ask that question is like, is there someone that will come to you and say, hey, Matan, I want you to help me change the way I think. I want to think this way. Like, what would be an idea or suggestion that you would give them to do that?
All right. I like to call it this exercise. I haven't used it in quite some time. I ask people a lot of time coming with the same question. So can you be more specific? Because you made it specific, like we can kind of like go with that. When you're not thinking like because you had something in mind there. Do you mind do you mind continuing that? When you're not thinking like,
yeah. So when you're not thinking of how you want to rewire your mind, then normally for most people, they don't know what to do that, right? But if you have an idea in mind, let me give you an example. Let's say I want to buy a new home.
Yeah.
I want to rewire my mind to think about how people view a mortgage, right? Or rewire my mind to know how to fix my finances so that in the future I can buy a home, right? Because then there's things you got to do to get to that point to say, okay, I feel confident enough to apply for a home. My credit's good. My income's good. Now it's time for me to apply for a home.
Right.
So it's just a question along those lines of something basic, right? I don't want it to sound confusing.
You gave me enough. If I was in a session with you, I would ask you way more questions.
Yeah.
Because what sits under it, what you said, is pretty much fear of finance or fear of money. All right. So whatever question people have, all right. So I'll tell you what I do before. Let's say you have, you bought a Jeep, all right, that can really drive off road and go and climb mountains and doing all of this beautiful, crazy stuff with it. Okay. However, you never do this. You just drove on the highway. Max, you went on the highway on your street where you go. Okay. So in many situations, this is how our mind works. Our mind knows how to drive on the highway, but we don't know how to think outside of that place, right? We don't know how to go off road, even though we have an amazing car that can do all of these fun things with that. All right. So the question is, the line is, when I'm not afraid of money, or when I'm not afraid of finances, I am. All right. Now go with that. All right. Now what people usually, their state is that they can say maybe one thing. All right. They can spend 3 seconds or 5 seconds outside their problem
Mhm.
zone. Now, just put a timer, 2 minutes, start with 2 minutes. Okay. And go like you're doing like a poetry slam. When I'm not afraid of money, I'm going and I'm learning about money. When I'm not afraid about money, I study about different things. I'm not afraid about money. I'm feeling comfortable asking any kind of, and including the questions that I call them stupid question. When I'm not afraid of money, I go and talk with people and get myself educated. You see what we're doing here?
Yeah, I see what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's all about, like we said earlier, it's it's the same phrase, right? You have to know how you want to feel to not feel the way you continue to feel daily.
Yeah, we have to
right?
change the identity when we're not thinking about a person, and it's kind of, it follows back to different set of beliefs. However, a lot of time is that belief that if I don't know something, or if I'm afraid of something, or any negative behavior or any negative outcome that I get in my life, I can change it. All right. Under this change, it is not necessarily change as simple as it is as simple as I change it. However, in reality, if it's a relationship, maybe I have to feel some grief about parts of myself. Maybe I have to ask for forgiveness. Maybe there are endless amount of skills. However, once we make that commitment that this is who I am, that person who wants to grow from life, and I'm willing to do the work, all of it will come up. Because, for example, I don't know, if you want to buy a house, you need to get a credit score or something like that. Okay. I don't know how to get a credit score, but I can Google it and deal with that. Very simple.
True. Yeah.
So what I'm saying, it's that skill to make a commitment. Okay, I think commitment are really good because it's a way to build rapport with yourself. And a lot of people at certain areas of our life, we're not able to make progress. So we're that rapport, we don't have it with ourselves. We go and we make these commitments. All of a sudden, we're building our self-esteem in that area of life.
Yep.
And
exactly.
That master skill that you become unstoppable, because everybody gets a negative outcome in their life. Everybody falls down. Everybody fails. It's inevitable to go through life, and it might be possible for some people. However, they're going to live a miserable life because they're going to look for comfortability, and on the way for comfortability, they're going to miss their entire potential because they're just going to run away from pain their entire life, and they're going to just get anxious and depressed and miserable, and because every negative experience, it's going to shrink them more. How do we develop that skill to let go of the past, to release, not to hold, and to become more and more bitter in ourselves?
Yep, exactly. I feel the same way in that aspect of things.
Yeah, forgiveness is not, it's not as simple as it sounds.
It is not. I've had my struggles with forgiveness on several occasions.
Me too.
Well, Matan, it's been nice having you on the show today. Myself and my listeners, and again, on behalf of my podcast, Fast Forward Mindset, we really appreciate you for being on today's episode.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. And this is for my listeners. If you have not hit the follow button, make sure you hit the follow button. When you do, you never miss a moment to rewire the way you think. I'm not hard to find. I'm on IG all day, every day. It's Fast Forward Mindset Podcast. If you're struggling today with thoughts of suicide, thoughts of hurting yourself or someone else, please don't hesitate to call the Suicide Prevention Hotline at 988 Hey, y'all, I'm Coach James. Let me help you wire the way you think. And as I always say, if your mindset isn't making you money, it's costing you way too much. And that's my 2 cents on that, y'all. Peace.
Thank y'all for listening to today's episode. And remember, don't rewind your life, fast forward it. Until next time, keep moving forward. Hey, y'all, I'm Coach James. Let me help you wire the way you think. All right, y'all. Peace.